So, law school taught you how to think like an attorney, but did it teach you how to negotiate like one? I'm Candice Quinn, founder of Contract Hack, and over the years, I've negotiated tons of contracts and learned tons of negotiation tips and tricks that they did not teach me in law school and that I don't think they want us to know because we'd be taking over if we did. So, whether you're negotiating your first contract or trying to level up your negotiation skills, definitely watch this video because I'm going to share some tips and tricks that experienced attorneys don't want you to know and law school doesn't want to teach you. Okay, trick number 1, strategic silence. So, this one is so easy. During a negotiation, you might be talking about a purchase price, you might be talking about a specific provision. It doesn't matter what it is. It can be used with any clause. You just sit there and you throw out your desired position. So if you want to offer $100,000, you go, how about $100,000? Okay, so you just sit there and it's kind of awkward and you sit there for like 10 seconds and the other side is going to want to fill the silence, but don't fill the silence yourself. Let the other side fill it because they will either make a comment, giving you some insight into their position or their, what they're looking for, what their goal is, or they will actually make a counter offer and then you can respond to that. So in my example, I threw out $100,000 and I just sat there. And if I wanted to fill that silence, I might be like, okay, maybe we could go to 125, right? Let me check with my client. But that's negotiating against myself. And that's rule number 1 in negotiation. Don't negotiate against yourself. So what do you do next? You just sit there silently until the other side says something. And if they throw out 125, then you can go, okay, accept, or you can counter that. But that silence is so key because everyone feels awkward and people will say things that they don't even mean. And you can do the same thing if someone throws out a number to you. So if they throw out 100,000 to me and it's like woefully low, like I'll just sit there and kind of look at them and they will come up with a higher number, or they will throw out more justification for their position, but I will get more information out of them by staying silent rather than by responding right away. So that's tip number 1 is the strategic silence. And it's great and it can be used, like I said, in any situation at all. Okay, number 2, the dumb question. But it's not actually a dumb question. It's just you frame a question in a way that makes the other person want to explain it to you. So we all know when someone asks a dumb question, you kind of want to be helpful and do explanatory things for them, kind of like a mentor role. So in a negotiation, if you say, I'm not quite getting this, could you walk me through how you're getting to this number? The person will immediately want to go into that like mentor teacher mode and will want to explain it to you. And if you're paying attention, which you should be here in a negotiation, you can actually sometimes find a flaw in their argument or in their offer when they're making that explanation. And it's really helpful, but there's a key. You can't just ask a lot of questions. You have to be very prepared. You have to know whatever the negotiation is about inside and out. Like you need to know all the documents, you need to know every provision of the contract, like you need to know it because you need to be able to identify the flaw when they explain it to you. And that is the key. So you're asking a question, it sounds like a dumb question, but it's not a dumb question because you're literally you're trying to find their flaw and you're being strategic about it. So, for example, I worked with a junior associate who saw that there was a miscalculation in the calculation of a multiplier in a limit of liability clause. And during the negotiation, he asked, he's like, but how are you getting to this number? This calculation's not working out for me. And he knew that there was a problem. Like he had identified it. but he asked the question as if he hadn't. And when the other side, the opposing party, had to explain it, he actually realized, the opposing party realized, like, oh, I made a mistake. Like, oh, I can't ask, like, I'm trying to ask for 5x, but like I've miscalculated 5x. So that's a really great strategy to use. Now, you're not always going to find some error, but you will usually find some other part of their argument that you can take issue with and use as leverage for your side of the argument. Okay, number 3. This is what I like to call the multiple offer strategy. And it's kind of like just overwhelm them with a little too much information, and then you get some information from them. So instead of just saying, I'll offer you 100,000, you could say, like, option 1, I'll give you 100,000 tomorrow. Option 2, I'll give you $25,000 a year for the next 4 years. Option 3, I'll give you 50,000 and some equity in the business. And then you can find out what the other side is really concerned about. Do they need the money now? Like, they need it now, and they're going to value option 1 first because they're going to get all the money up front? Or are they looking for an income source in the future and perhaps some deference of tax, in which case option 2 or 3 might be a better option for them? And the way they respond to it, they may not accept any of the options, but the way they respond can tell you what their goal is to get out of the negotiation, and that's helpful. But they also may take one of these options, and they may not take the one that you thought they would take. So you definitely make sure that you're not just throwing things out. You're not just spitballing things. Like, there's a difference between spitballing, which is a definite strategy, like talking through potential options for settlement, but saying, like, I'm not sure we can do this, but would you consider something like this? You can do that. But if you throw out 3 definite options and they take one, you have to agree to that then. So definitely have those all approved by your client. But it's a great way to overwhelm them with some information. Perhaps they'll be like, oh, well, these are 3 good options. I have to take one. And they will just take one rather than countering it because they feel like you've already done the countering for them. And that's a great strategy, especially if they have a newer attorney or an attorney that's maybe not, doesn't have their head in the game all the way, busy with a bunch of things. So it's, or maybe not represented by an attorney, because let's face it, there's always some people like that aren't represented, and you don't want to take advantage of them, but you can be like, I gave you 3 options and you took one. So there's definitely different ways that this can work for you, but it's also just a great way. And it doesn't have to be just about paying money or making a settlement. It can be with a clause in a contract. Like, you can put in red lines your preferred option, but then you can say, like, I can also do, like, I want California governing law, but I can also do New York and Delaware. And that will help them understand where you can move and where you can't move, and can help them lead their next step. Then there's tactic number 4, which is one of my favorite ones. It's the pre-negotiation negotiation. And what it means is getting to know your opposing counsel, getting to know the other party prior to the negotiation, and establishing that rapport. So if you have email chains going back and forth, or if you have the ability to meet in person, it's going to be great to be able to have that rapport with the other party, with the other counsel, prior to getting to the actual negotiation part. Even if you're just jumping on a call for the first time, like, talk about where you're each from, or talk about the weather, or anything to have that kind of rapport going. The number of times where I've gotten on a call with someone, they're remote from a company, I'm remote from a company, and we live within like 30 minutes of each other is absolutely crazy. And then we're able to connect on like activities or things going on in the area, and just that little bit of rapport. They get to see me as a human, I see them as a human, they can maybe see my client, or I see their client as a person as well. And it's really helpful in order to resolve the issue and have everybody stay a little bit more civil in the negotiation. So it's really something that I highly recommend doing. It is not always possible, because sometimes we do just show up to these things with no pre-knowledge. unfortunately, but when I can, I always try to negotiate before the negotiation. All right, so there you have it. There are the 4 negotiation tactics that law schools don't want to teach you and experienced attorneys don't want you to know because you'll take their jobs. And it's strategic silence, asking the dumb questions, giving multiple options, and doing the pre-negotiation negotiation. Those are the 4 strategies that will help you win nearly every negotiation. Literally, I can't walk away without winning because I designed the negotiation in a way that always leaves room for my client to win. Here's the truth. Law school teaches you to think like an attorney, but actual practice is what makes you an attorney. It's what makes you have the skills to actually negotiate and win for your client. The best negotiators know that winning doesn't mean crushing the other side. It means getting a situation where your client can walk away and be reasonably happy. So if each party leaves the table feeling like they got something but also lost something, that is the best position to be in when you are done in a negotiation. Do you want more tips from me? Well, I'm happy to share them. That's why I'm here. So go ahead and schedule a call with me. The link is in the pinned comment and the description below. I would love to chat with you about what issues you're facing and what tips and tricks you are looking for to help you level up your career. And if you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and like it and leave me a comment about what other tips and tricks you'd love to learn from me next. Bye for now, hackers.